Statement you gave to police on July 16, 2012. Do you remember that statement, sir?
Yeah.
Is that a yes?
Yes or no, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. On page 5, line 14, you were asked if you were asked about different types of guns. Do you know the difference between a semi-automatic and a revolver? And you answered, no, I never touched a gun in my life. Do you remember making that statement?
Yep.
Your Honor, that's what it says. That's what the audio.
Show the witness the transcript.
May I approach?
You may. Show Mr. Higgins or something. Thank you.
Line 14, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you trying to say?
Sir, I'm not going to try to say anything. I'm just going to say it.
I
Those
know
are your words, correct?
I know you got pictures to show me, right?
Those are your words, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you have to wait for my questions. Do you understand, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that remains true to today, correct?
What'd you say?
That remains true to today, right?
Put a question. What remains true, sir?
The fact that you've never touched a gun in your life.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, sir, you also testified that you guys don't do drugs. You remember testifying to that yesterday?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you ever made aware that Safiro had drugs in the system that night?
I don't know, man. I know about myself.
Sustained.
I never see him like use the drugs. Sorry.
Jury will disregard that question. The question by counsel is not evidence. Only the witness's answers are evidence.
All right.
You to disregard the statement of the question entirely.
Sir, do you engage in social media?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a Facebook page?
Yeah.
And you have an Instagram page?
Yeah.
In fact, you have two, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the username for your Instagram, for one of your Instagram accounts,
Overruled.
is De Puto Praia.
De Puto Praia. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. De Puto Praia.
Yeah.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what that means?
Puto Praia means like kid. You know, kid of my city.
The what?
I'm the kid of my city. The kid, the children,
kid of your
like,
city.
Yeah.
The word puto means kid?
Yeah.
Now, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Is that a photograph of you, sir?
Yes. It's me.
Okay, you can take it down. That's not been admitted in the evidence yet, sir. May I have it marked for identification?
You may.
That's for identification.
Now, is this a fair and accurate representation of the photo that you placed on Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, if there's no objection, I would move at this time Exhibit S into evidence.
Objection. No, the witness having identified it as him or his website or page, we will receive that. Is that 184? 5. Exhibit 185.
Now, sir, you mentioned earlier that you fancy yourself as a rapper.
Yeah.
Okay, and you participate in, I guess, you're attempting to build a career as a rapper?
What you say?
You're attempting to build a career as a rapper?
Yeah.
Okay. And I suppose this is a photograph of you engaged in some type of promotion for rap?
Yeah.
Yes, sir? Okay. Now, let me ask you another question, sir. I noticed in your Instagram pictures that you take many photographs utilizing a symbol like this.
Yeah. It means what?
And I am,
For you.
for the record, if I can finish the question, Your Honor.
Let me see you at sidebar.
In this witness's social media accounts, this being one of them, would show the specific symbol.
No, go back to that photo.
Okay.
That photo or that print is taken from what?
This is taken from his Instagram account, the witness's.
His being Mr.
Mr.
Sanchez,
Sanchez's Instagram account.
and that's based on what, the name?
Correct. The username that was taken.
And with regard to the individuals, do you intend to have them identified?
Specifically himself.
All right, then what?
Then if as you go through his account, they are all, through his multiple social media accounts, there are various photos with him doing the specific signal. Okay. In addition to this specific symbol, there are witnesses in the Florida shooting that are demonstrating the same exact symbol on their social media accounts.
What witnesses?
I can have those. If I don't have, let me see if we can print those out, Judge. I can have just a moment. We anticipate that the state will call another individual from the Florida case, from the Florida portion of this case, that I believe it's Jarrell Pierre, who has the same symbols. This individual, the state alleges, we have a good faith basis from the state's discovery that they believe he was in the car with Mr. Bradley at the time of him being shot. Depending on
What is
how-
that person's name?
Jarrell Pierre.
Hold on one sec. Okay.
I believe today that the state will be calling Detective Cummings. Detective Cummings' notes clearly indicate someone, I'm sorry, someone after Raychides and Gerson may be involved with CVO. CVO stands for the Cape Verdean Outlaws, based on our understanding.
Hold on, give me that again. And what you put on the screen, what appears to be part of a note,
Correct.
maybe detective notes.
These are notes written by Detective Cummings. It's
Yeah.
our understanding he's the witness that the state will call this afternoon.
And at what point in time and from what source?
That's what we intend to question him about. He, in the process of his investigation, has made, through various interviews, these are from his notes, that our understanding is that they considered, I don't know how far they went in their investigation, but certainly something that needs to be explored as to whether this witness, being the individual referred to as Raychides, which is his first name, may have been involved with the Cape Verdean outlaws.
Your Honor, I can advise the court in preview of what Detective Cummings was testified to, that this comes from no source. This was mere rumor, including improper and inaccurate press clippings that had come out after the shooting, suggesting that the victims were involved in the gang, which ultimately turned out not to be true. And also, the statement here is someone after Raychides and Gerson may be involved in CPO. I read that to mean somebody after that.
Well, tell me what it is Detective Cummings was writing when he wrote that. Did he mean someone who was Cape Verdean outlaw involved was after those two? Or is this suggesting those two were involved in outlaws?
I'm not sure exactly. I'll have to clarify that, but that's the way I read it. The first
Well,
second.
no one ever asked the detective what he meant when he wrote that.
Not specifically in that regard.
Okay.
But again, I asked the detective where this came from. He said, complete rumor. Doesn't even remember where it came from. Thought it could have been from the press clippings that he read afterwards. Certainly and positively not from a source.
Okay.
I would note that when Mr. Hagan refers to press clippings, the state attorney's office issued, law enforcement issued statements immediately after this that this was a gang-related shooting. The subsequent to that, they issued a statement that it was not gang-related. So the source of it not being gang-related is the same exact source that said it was gang-related. And
There was a law enforcement statement indicating this is a gang-related shooting?
yes, that came out in early media clippings as it related to this case. They subsequently amended that.
There are two different things there. One is the media may have reported a suspicion. The second is attributing that to a law enforcement statement.
We understand
You're
that.
telling me there was a law enforcement statement
Correct,
stating that,
correct.
and then a later statement that disavowed it or said that's not the right approach.
That's correct.
Now, you indicated that you expected to have a witness who would testify regarding hand signals. And tell me just what that is, or who that is.
Well, here's the thing, Judge.
Well, no, here's the thing. You told me over here at the side of the bench, I will have a witness who will interpret gang signals.
Correct. If in fact,
Who?
if we have consulted,
Who?
Judge, what I'm saying is we've done our research.
Mr. Baez, you told me you have a witness who will testify to that.
May I approach side?
So
Judge?
all I
think-
need to know is who is the witness that you intend to have testify to that?
If I can have a moment, I can find out, Judge. We're looking that up right now, Judge.
David. Do you have any amended witness list? Mr. Baez, let me give you your amended witness list, and perhaps that can refresh your memory.
We have not listed him as a witness yet, Your Honor. We have not uncovered.
You don't have a witness.
We have not uncovered sufficiently to determine whether there's the actual connection that requires us to come forward without considering our burden that we...
No, sir. We're on this issue because you told me minutes ago at sidebar, when I asked for the foundation for this line of inquiry, that you had a witness.
Yes, Detective Cummings. These are his notes.
Detective Cummings is
Yes.
going to interpret these gang signs.
No, Detective Cummings that will be able to shed light on this issue as it relates to the CVO.
That is not what you told me. You told me you had a witness who would interpret gang signs.
No, sir, I did not say that specifically. I was referring to the Cape Verdean outlaw issue.
All right, now, Mr. Baez,
Our position is this, Judge. We're in a search for the truth. Law enforcement has pursued this issue so much to the point that they're documented on their notes. It's disclosed in discovery. We have the right to question them about this issue and to explore it. Do we need to put on a case? Are we forced to put on a case? I don't know, but I can tell you this much. I know we don't have the burden to do so.
no one is imposing a burden on you. No one is forcing you to do anything. I am holding you to the statements you tell me at the sidebar. Then we discuss those things out of the sidebar so as not to prejudice either side.
Correct. And I can represent to Your Honor that that's who I was referring to.
will tell you, sir, I have every right in the world to rely on the statements either side gives as officers of the court to me.
For which I was referring to specifically Detective Cummings, who has mentioned in his notes that there's a possible gang-related connection. That's what I was referring to.
Hand back the amended witness list that is part of the court's file. Now let me ask you, is there going to be any evidence, do you expect, in good faith, to establish any evidence that a Jarrell Pierre from Florida has any known connection, relationship, communication with this witness, Mr. Sanchez,
I cannot make that representation, sir.
or with either of the deceased, Mr. D'Abreu or Mr. Furtado?
I cannot make that representation, sir.
Is there any information suggesting that they would know one another other than perhaps that they were born in the same native country?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
That they're Cape Verdean?
I didn't hear the full question. I'm sorry, I didn't understand it.
Is there anything that you expect to be developed in this evidence that shows that there is any connection between Jarrell Pierre and Mr. Sanchez, Mr. D'Abreu, Mr. Furtado, other than perhaps that they all derived or are natives at some point of Cape Verde?
No, I can't make that representation.
Okay.
What I will say, though, is that we are in a search for the truth. We have a good faith basis to ask these questions, and that's all that's required of us.
Well, assuming that they are not unduly prejudicial to one side or the other, assuming that they do not distract the jury or confuse the jury from their appropriate focus. You can't just throw things out to smear a witness without any good faith belief that it actually ties in to some piece of evidence in this case or is otherwise relevant to the case. And so I want to understand how this claimed gang sign in some way ties in here.
Let me explain it to you. The Cape Verdean gang is a Massachusetts gang. To the extent someone in Florida is a gang member of the Cape Verdean gang, then that is a direct tie. And we are working, and I'll be happy to say this, that I'm the one responsible for getting the witness. I can tell you who I'm going after, and we haven't done it yet because we're waiting to see what plays out here. May I speak to that issue? Please, I can get you on this. Thank you. Let me do it. Your Honor, since I've been involved in this issue, I want to explain to you. The Cape Verdean gang is a Massachusetts-based gang. They have specific call signals. We do have a witness that we have identified who is the expert on the Cape Verdean gangs.
All right, hold on. Let's get the witness list again.
It's not on the witness list yet, Judge. And not all witnesses have yet been put on the witness list. We do it as quickly as we can.
No, sir, I ordered disclosure of witnesses some time ago. I ordered reports regarding, as it related to reciprocal discovery, including expert witnesses.
Okay. Well,
You're
we
not
have a lot-
telling me you have an expert witness or a line of expert testimony that you have not disclosed to the Commonwealth, are
We
you?
have not yet finalized. We know who we want to get. We do not, but let me finish where I was going, because you asked for the nature of the relationship. It is a Cape Verdean, Massachusetts gang located and headquartered in Dorchester, Massachusetts. To the extent that someone in Florida who's involved in this matter is a member of the Cape Verdean gang of Dorchester and uses Cape Verdean gang signs that are associated with the Dorchester gang, then it is more than relevant and an inference can be drawn, and it is appropriate to be able to argue that there is a relationship between what took place in Florida and the Cape Verdean gang, of which maybe, we haven't fully explored it yet, there are members involved in this action that are members of that gang.
And that's relevant to what?
That is relevant to what took place with Mr.
Well, how?
Bradley
Yes, I know
in
that's
Florida.
How?
How is it relevant? To the extent that a Cape Verdean gang member who was involved in a shootout in Massachusetts is involved with a shooting in Florida with respect to Mr. Bradley, it is very relevant.
Well, yes, now tell me
But
that
we have
connection.
not yet developed all this evidence, and we're trying to do it on the
So
scene.
far, I haven't heard evidence, sir. I've heard speculation. Tell me how you get from Dorchester to a shooting in Florida in February of 2013.
Through a member of a gang in Dorchester who was in Florida at the time of the shooting.
And that is someone other than Pierre?
No, it's
Not Cape Verde.
Pierre is not Cape Verdean? Tell me who is in Florida from this Cape Verdean gang in February when Bradley gets shot.
we have the individual's name on the witness. It's Prier.
Mr. Ferrier,
Prier, is that the way you pronounce it? Prier.
give me that.
I'll get the spelling.
I'm sorry. Mr. Baez, is this a different name than the one you just gave?
No. It's on the witness list, Your Honor.
Jarrell Pierre.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
And I would also submit to the
And
court.
hold on.
Okay.
Just help me to understand. Jarrell Pierre. Is the evidence going to be that he was in this vehicle in Florida when Mr. Bradley was shot?
I'll have to turn that over to Mr. Baez. I'm not familiar with that.
Mr.
I'm
Baez,
sorry, what was the court's
the
question?
question is it the claim that Jarrell Pierre was in the vehicle with Mr. Bradley the night he was shot?
That is the state's contention. Now,
And Jarrell
Pierre,
Pierre is from Dorchester, is that what I'm understanding?
no, sir.
I thought that's
I
what
don't-
Mr. Leontier just told me.
That's not what Mr. Leontier has represented. It boils
Wait a
down to-
minute.
I'll tell you exactly what I said.
Yeah, tell me
What
what-
I said was,
Who
to
from-
the extent, excuse me, let me say what I said, if I may. May I?
Did you tell me when I asked who from Dorchester, or you said Pierre?
I said, through the relationship, which I said before you asked me that question and after you asked me that question. I said that the Cape Verdean gang is located in Dorchester, Massachusetts. To the extent someone in Florida is affiliated or associated with the Cape Verdean gang in Massachusetts in Dorchester, that is relevant.
And I said who when you said Pierre?
That's correct. I never said that Mr. Pierre was from Dorchester.
Pierre is associated with the Dorchester Cape Verdean outlaws.
That is the,
Okay, thank you. What is the basis for that statement? What's the proffer?
the proffer is the information that we have developed, the evidence that we have developed, not yet to the court, that he is involved with the Cape Verdean gang.
Yes.
Through,
Tell me the basis for that.
right. And what led us to this is that only members of that gang, this is our understanding, use the sign that has been used by both the gang members here in Dorchester and by Mr. Pierre in Florida.
And is that because you have some evidence that this fellow Pierre has used that same
Yes.
finger signal of
Yes,
some
we do.
sort?
Yes, we do, Judge.
All right.
I think I can
Commonwealth, do
simplify
you want to
this.
be heard in this regard?
Just very briefly, Your Honor, that quite frankly, we think this is absurd. Mr. Pierre, as we understand it, is Jamaican, born in Florida, no ties whatsoever to Cape Verdean gangs. I've been doing this job a long time, Your Honor. I've dealt with numerous instances of Cape Verdean violence. I've never heard of a Jamaican member of the Cape Verdean outlaws. There's nothing to suggest Mr. Pierre has any connection whatsoever to the victims in this case. And again, it's an attempt by the defense to simply throw this out there to smear the victims and the witnesses in the case. And again, there's been no showing, no good faith basis to get into any of this.
I think I can simplify this issue very clearly. We have this information by one of the detectives. We have this
Well,
issue.
no,
with-
you have this note
Correct.
from a detective.
Correct.
Okay.
And we have this issue that from the signals. Now, I guess it's Your Honor's decision to make a determination. Is that something that we're just to sit on and not try to explore in this trial, or in hopes of not, I guess, smearing this specific witness? If that's the court's ruling, we'll back off. But I think, as our obligation to defend a citizen accused, that we have every right to explore other potential issues and other potential defenses as they may come out.
Well, yes, but you can't make them up out of either whole cloth or partial cloth.
And that's not what we're
Now-
doing. We didn't make this. We didn't write this.
Yeah.
And nor did we.
No,
Nor did we
it's
show
your
these
interpret-
symbols. So this witness can say two things. He can say, yes, I'm a member of a gang, or no, I'm not a member of a gang. End of story. So it's. I guess it's for the court to decide. Is that something we can ask? Is that something that we can explore as we're defending someone in a capital crime? And that's as far as it's going. There's no. I
Are
didn't
you
say a word about it.
suggesting
during
the
my opening.
rules of evidence and relevance, materiality, and probative value are different for a capital crime than for any other crime?
No, sir, I'm not making that
Then let's
suggestion at
not
all.
flourish the argument. You need a good faith basis before you can ask questions, developing potential alternative theories. There has to be some basis for that claim. If there is a basis for that claim, then there is probative value to that evidence. It is admissible. I'm not satisfied as of this moment that you have demonstrated a sufficient basis to argue that this was a gang-related killing. Mr. Baez, if I could have your attention for a moment.
Yes, sir, I hear every word.
What you are permitted to do under our case law is to inquire as to police omissions in their investigations. And to the extent you have detectives' notes that reference some group, and to the extent you have some evidence of the witness now on the stand, evidencing some signaling associated with that group, then you do have the right to make inquiry of the detective and of the police investigation as to whether they properly or improperly investigated that angle. And I would instruct the jury, if there is a request, that that evidence would be received, at least at this moment, for the limited purpose of evaluating the completeness or incompleteness of a police investigation, or whether it shows in some way a police bias in the manner in which they conducted the investigation. But the evidence then is not admitted for other purposes. That's the distinction between so-called Bowden evidence and so-called third-party culprit evidence, which is admissible for a broader purpose. I think it is, and Ms. Anderson will tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it is Silva-Santiago that makes that distinction between the permissible uses of otherwise extraneous evidence as to third-party culprit and as to Bowden claims.
Your Honor, respectfully, I've asked that before Mr. Baez be allowed to potentially delve into this area, as the court's indicated under a Bowden type of approach, that we have a voir dire with Detective Cummings. That's because Detective Cummings will indicate that this was simply rumor that was put out. There was nothing additionally that could be done. And at that point, the facts would fall right into Silva-Santiago, which as the court...
Well, I suppose the whole Bowden issue is whether anything was done.
Well, I think...
And whether whatever was done was thorough or not thorough.
Well, I would respectfully disagree, Your Honor, and I'm sure Ms. Anderson will draft a memo on this, but I believe Silva-Santiago was very similar, that it was simply a rumor that a convicted killer was apparently in the bar when the incident allegedly happened. The police didn't follow up at all. As I understand the case law, that is not sufficient of a malfeasance or something that the police did not do to follow up on the investigation, and it's not sufficient for Bowden instruction or for Bowden inquiry in that regard.
Mr. Baez?
Nothing further from the defense, sir.
Mr. Lantier, anything you want to add?
I just want to add, Your Honor, that in the article that we referred to, it is alleged that police authorities, I'll read you the exact language.
Do you have the article there?
I do.
Why don't we offer it for identification, make it part of the record? Let's see, is that R or S? All right, has that been marked?
Give me 1 second, Your Honor. Just to give you this, you want to mark this?
Yeah.
See if identification, 3 pages.
May I state this in the article, Your Honor?
You may state it or you may show it to me.
I'd like to state it first, and then I'll be happy to show it. Police have not released their identities. A law enforcement official acknowledged that the victims are tied to a Cape Verdean gang based in Dorchester. The official requested anonymity because of not being authorized to speak about the case. This was on July 16th of 2012.
All right. Let me see counsel at sidebar.
But this one does not. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Sir, are you now or have you ever been a member of the Cape Verdean Outlaws?
What'd you say?
Are you now or have you ever been a member of the Cape Verdean Outlaws?
What do you mean, member? I didn't get it, man. Can you guys translate for me? Or?
Sure. Would you like the services of the court interpreter?
Yeah, about this question, I didn't get it. I didn't understand.
I'll repeat the question. Sir, are you now or have you ever been a member of the Cape Verdean Outlaws?
E voi agora ou já foi membro do grupo de cabo-verdianos criminosos?
Nunca.
Never.
No further questions, Judge.
Ah? Mega tem mais perguntas?
Does I have any more questions?
Not on this topic.
Just a couple questions, sir. The hand signals that you were just shown photographs of, are those gang symbols at all?
You've
No.
been sworn, ma'am.
Not today, Your Honor.
Great. Would you swear the interpreter?
You solemnly swear you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as the official court interpreter to the best of your skills and abilities, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And your name for the record?
Maggie Medina, certified Cape Verdean interpreter. Good afternoon, Your Honor.
And as to the answers you've previously given, were they truthful?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Hagan?
So that first, just to clarify, the first signal you were giving with one finger down in each hand, that meant, what did that mean?
It's just finger, man. I was waiting for take a picture. I just put my six finger up. It doesn't mean nothing. No symbol. I never get involved with gang and stuff like that.
And the
That's
second,
not my life.
and the second picture that Mr. Baez showed you where you're making a V, that's for your neighborhood.
That one, means Bayou side, like I told you.
That's in Cape Verde.
Yeah, Cape
That's
Verde.
not a gang, is it?
No, it's not nothing with that, man.
Thank you. I have no further
I just have one last question, Judge.
Yeah.
In this picture here, sir, that you take, that's you on the right?
Yeah, in Cape Verde.
And that's you doing nothing with your fingers again, right?
Yeah, I'm always do this.
And then this picture here, sir, that's just you doing nothing with your fingers
Yeah,
again.
I'm always do this.
And this picture here, sir, that's you doing nothing with your fingers
Yeah,
again.
it's me.
And you're the gentleman on the left here, is that correct?
Yeah.
And that's you doing nothing with your fingers again.
What'd you say?
That's you doing nothing with your fingers again.
Porque eu tô fazendo nada com os dedos.
Você não tá fazendo nada com minha ideia mais.
If I'm doing nothing with my fingers, what do you mean?
You have described that when you do this, you're just doing nothing with your fingers.
No, I just do that. For me, that's style.
Okay.
That's all.
Well, for you, does that have any meaning?
No.
Are you intending to communicate anything when you do
No,
that?
no. None of that.
Why would you take photos of it and post them on your webpage?
Oh,
Como eu vou tirar foto e vou pôr na boa página?
I'm not in
Because I want to.
And you don't intend that the observer, whoever sees your webpage, concludes anything from that?
E boca crê que alguém que está espiando na boa página para chegar a uma conclusão?
Que eles que sabem, vocês que acham. Ninguém tem
That's
nada a
up
ver
to
com
them.
ninguém.
If they want to get a conclusion, it's up to them.
No further questions, Judge.
Mr. Hagan?
Nothing further.
Thank you, sir. You may step down.
That's what you say.
All right, counsel, let's line our jurors up, and we'll get them back down. Mr. Sullivan?
Same rule applies, Your Honor.
What?
Sidebar. We need to figure out what we're going to do.
Okay. Here's what I think, based on what I've just heard from this witness.
Can I make one representation? I can do it here, because the jury's got this down.
No, we'll hold the jurors. What is it?
So the picture with the B, Your Honor, one, picture with the B that he said stood for the street on information and belief is a signal for blood street gang, the CBO being derivative of it. That signal is commonly referred to as the Big B, B-I-G-B signal. With that representation, we think that a predicate is sufficient for relevance to inquire in front of the jury and let the jury decide whether these are signals intending to convey a specific meaning or whether they are meaningless gestures with his hands that he just continues to do randomly on social media. We will connect it with that same signal to an individual in Florida. And our theory of the case, of course, is that someone else shot Mr. Bradley in Florida. Someone else connected with this hand signal, in all likelihood, was the shooter in Florida. So in terms of relevance, a predicate has been made, and the rest is for the jury to decide.
I'm confused. I thought the defense position that presented was the Cape Verdean outlaws, and that they have evidence that somebody down in Florida is connected to the Cape Verdean outlaws. Now we're hearing for the first time, now it's the Bloods.
I don't know.
Well, perhaps Mr. Hagan didn't hear me. The Big B is a blood signal. What I said was that the CBO on information and belief is derivative of that. And yes, it's the W, whatever this finger sign is, the three fingers. That's your connection from here to Florida.
I am not satisfied that the defense has demonstrated the three fingers are something unique to some criminal organization based in Dorchester, such that one using it would almost by definition be a member of that group or someone trying to self-identify with that group. I've asked for the basis for that belief and the evidentiary basis and haven't received it. So as to Mr. Sanchez, I'm sustaining the Commonwealth's objection to the use of these photographs at this stage of the proceedings. I likely will permit the defense to inquire of Detective Cummings or police detectives with regard to the scope of their investigation as it related to any gang affiliation. I will tell you, Mr. Baez or Mr. Sullivan or Mr. Leand here or anyone else who's weighed in on this to this point, I'm not satisfied that you have given me a foundation. You told me what you think things are, but I don't know what the source of that information is. And so absent a better foundation, I'm not permitting gang affiliation to come in substantively at this stage of the proceedings. If that changes because you do make an adequate showing, then it may be that I will permit you to recall this witness or then to introduce the photographs, one of which has been handed up, but I guess not marked for identification. I think, counsel, it would be helpful to have the three photographs, Mr. Baez, marked for identification, made part of the record for ID at this stage. I think individually.
U through Z, or
How many?
6.
And what are you marking them?
U
All
through
right.
Z.
Can you pull out the one with what you said was the big B? All right, let's have that as the first numbered. just so it's kept clear.
That's it. That would be U for identification,
And then T through Z,
V through Z.
V through Z purport to show the three-finger symbol. Is that correct, Ms. Sullivan? That's correct. Okay. Let's have them marked, made part of the record.
So I'm clear on your ruling. We can still make these inquiries with Detective Cummings, correct?
Some form of inquiry, I believe.
I understand.
I'm going to look at Silva Santiago likely overnight, but at least for now, it seems to me there is a basis to permit inquiry. All right, counsel, take 5 minutes. We'll bring our jurors back down.
All right,